Just for the new Superman movies, of course, your boy is gonna review it, so get ready for the ride. First of all, I would like to talk about the general overview and the screenplay of the movie. First of all, this is the way how you set up an interconnected universe. This movie acknowledged the existence of meta-humans and set it up in a beautiful way. Unlike the Snyderverse, where the whole universe was based on the concept of what will happen when people will know the existence of Superman. How will they react when they find out that they are not the only ones? Which is good for the movie itself, the Man of Steel movie itself, but it's very bad for the universe because when other meta-humans and superheroes enter the universe, it feels very unnatural. It doesn't feel organic. When in Superman we see meta-humans, it feels organically. The huge plus point on how they set it up, all the movies and this universe. Now let's talk about the screenplay. It movie was one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Some of the sets was so good looking. I would say that it was just genuinely perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Now, let's talk about the CGI. The CGI was overused in the movies at some points, but it looked genuinely great throughout, especially for the crypto. The dog was completely CGI made, but it looked perfect and it looked great throughout. And the use of vibrant colors in the movie just kept it very apart from and gave it a different identity against the MCU and the Snyderverse, because the other universes had a bit of a bit grim costumes and a bit dark tone, but this was just a hopeful, light-hearted tone movie and very, very heartfelt movie. Now let's talk about the premise of the movie. Unless you are living under a rock, this movie was about Superman being more human than any of the humans around us. This was Superman saving a nation, going against the laws of the United States, and Lex Luthor finding a way to just take him down and trying to burn him. So if you are a true fan of the Snyderverse or the MCU, well, you will probably think it's different and probably dislike it too, because this movie didn't explain everything through science and logic. It straight to the comics, and a lot of things just felt a bit silly because it just felt comic booky. It took the grim tone of the Snyderverse or the pretty logical continuity. It kept the continuity, but didn't explain every minute single thing. It didn't do spoon feeding. And Snyderverse was based on the idea of that the world is changing and so will Superman. But this universe this movie just set up Superman as this kind-hearted human being, kind-hearted species that will, even if the world is changing, even if the world goes evil, even if the people go narcissist, he will stay the same and he will always be the symbol of hope, and he will always protect people and put mankind over selfish morals, and will not let politics and human priorities get the best of him. Even Lois Lane questioned him that he entered the airspace of the country without the permission, but he continued to say that people were going to die. People were going to die because the only thing that he prioritizes is human life. And this is what I love about this movie. Well, I would acknowledge that I was very worried about this movie because James Gunn have just put so many characters in the movie, and I thought it would be very hard to, and I know it was going to be very hard to handle all of them in a singular movie, but James Gunn just nailed it on the mark. Every character when they are on screen just feels important and good. Every character gets his time in the spotlight, like the Justice Gang, who were used to perfection. Guy Gardner was given a personality. He felt like this jerk who would drop this one-liners, and I'm very happy by the fact that James Gunn didn't use much of his humor, his light-hearted humor, his dark humor that he used in other projects in this movie, because it didn't record it so much. But the guy Gardner had some of his humor which he uses in his other movies, because he is like that in the comics too. But the person who stole the show from the Justice Gang is Mr. Terrific. I could really see him getting a solo project, because in every shot he felt like this badass who just is good at the fight scenes and is very twisted. Hawkgirl got a little less of the spotlight, and I think the more could have been done with this character, but except for one scene where she really got the spotlight at the end when she threw the dictator, but otherwise she was less of used in this movie. But I'm just nitpicking by at this point. First of all, about Superman. Okay, so the big money question about this movie was, how is David Conswet going to play Superman? So I am happy to say that this was probably, and it may be controversial, but the best portrayal of Superman, because he just felt this hopeful, charming figure who is just gooder than life, bigger than life. And just some people hate the idea of Superman being nerfed, but I like the idea, because when Superman is nerfed, so it just raises the stake of the movie even more, where like you're worried. It just adds so much to the drama, unlike when in Man of Steel, because Superman was going to win anyway, because he was just godlike figure and then never loses and never flinches. So nerfing Superman was a good idea. Oh, okay, now let's talk about what wasn't a good idea. They did something with Joel and Lana, the biological parents of Superman, which had happened in the comics, but it was a flinch, it was a mirage, kind of, it was just a trap. But James Gunn just went with it and considered it real. So if you're a fan of the comics and if you're a fan of Joel and Lana, you're going to be upset about it. I had to point it out because when Man of Steel killed General Zod, Cavill killed Zod, I was very debunked about it, so I am very sad about this one too. But it's nitpicking. Some plot lines in a movie are always a little bit less interesting than the others. Okay, but the adoptive parents of Superman doesn't got this treatment. Park Kent just gave one of the best speeches I've ever heard, with the beautiful line of, "It's stupid parents trying to tell what their children can be or cannot. It's our action who determine who we are." This just lifted up so much hope in my heart and just brought me a tear in my eye. This was just a perfect display from Park Kent. I would just hope that I just wish that we would have gotten some more interactions with him, with Clark Kent, with Superman. This is my complaint from this movie, that some of the characters just had a very few scenes. We could have gotten some more scenes if the movie would have been a little longer and they would have taken some more shots. But what we got, I'm very happy from it. Superman just played this character to perfection. When he was Superman, he felt different, and when he was Clark Kent, he felt like this clumsy douchebag who messes things up. But the problem is we only got to see him in one scene because the office wasn't really that explored. The other journalists had a spot in the movie and were important to the movie plot, but they weren't given too much of a backstory. They weren't given too much of a personality because of the length of the movie. And this will be my main problem with the movie, the one time. But except for that, whenever a character was on the screen, he was interesting, he was doing something very unique. So I would give props to that. And Metamorpho's design, that's how you make a distorted character look good in live action. Just genuinely amazing. But the best performance in my opinion in the movie goes to Nicholas Hart. This man just was a pure hater. He organized an invasion just to kill Superman, just because he was jealous of the guy. Man, you how much of a hater you can be? This guy just stopped the high evolutionary in being an evil egomaniac. You just can't feel anything for the guy. The no redemption or nothing, just a pure evil, maniacal, diabolical guy that you just want to see crushed, see killed. And when he got his beating, you just felt good in the movie. And there was also a plot twist with so first of all, the action of the movie was just top notch. Okay, some of the action scenes was so good looking. The flight scenes of Superman was so realistic. Man of Steel, take notes from it, man. The Zack Snyder, take notes. That's how we execute flight scenes and action in a movie. So the action was very good. The movie doesn't felt overstuffed with villains, because the engineer and Ultraman felt like just henchmen for Lex Luthor, the main guy. And the plot twist, oh my god, the plot twist was genuinely fantastically executed, because I really didn't know. Me as a content creator who thinks about movie, who makes all these wild theories, wasn't able to know who was behind the Ultraman. So this was just genuinely good idea. So I love the reveal. This was just, and the fight scene at the end was just amazing. This movie also had some cameos, but they didn't went up over the edge, because this movie is learning from the mistakes that were made in the DCU, and it did not set it up things that it cannot deliver, and they took one step by another, and didn't rush to this universe. I hope this universe is not going to rush to the ideas of the world finest team up and Wonder Woman so quickly and take one step after the other. The cameos which were in the movie just set it up projects which were already in the works, so no complaints from that side. So now let's talk about Lois Lane. Also, this, in my opinion, this was the best Lois Lane that we have ever got in any Superman content, because they gave her a different personality, a little different personality, a more of a journalist type personality to her. Not like the journalist side of Lois Lane was hidden in the other Superman movies, but in this movie she questioned Superman morals. You could feel that she's more of a cutthroat journalist who makes 7 questions out of 1 and twists Superman's quotes and his talks and his words against him. So these talks with Lois Lane with Superman just gave her a more of a character and made their romance and their chemistry just even more extended. Their chemistry, first of all, the chemistry between them was very good to begin with. So this genuinely great performance from Lois Lane. Okay, so now let's get to the overall conclusion. So this movie was just a pure genius masterpiece who learned from past mistakes of the DCEU. Was a light-hearted movie with straight to the original content, to the comics, and just it had a bunch of characters, but everybody got a spotlight. And there were some scenes which felt low, but except that, this was a genuine masterpiece, the best superhero movie that have come out since Avengers Endgame, and I hope you watch it, man. Just watch it. This was just an amazing movie. So see you later in the next video. Please subscribe to my channel.